That fresh produce stand there, that's a beauty.
What do you listen to?
My favorite murder podcast.
Taggart and Torrance podcast.
The produce stand.
Fucking sexy.
You heard the man. It's the Produce Stand, your favorite source for everything in the universe. I'm Al, your host, Tanya and Victor on the mics. Unfortunately, Matt had a family commitment, but tonight we're talking about universal hair. And just like Dolo, we're feeling blessed tonight to introduce tonight's guest panelist. And she is joining us. She's an award-nominated hairstylist who's worked on dozens of Canadian film and television productions, including Cardinal, The Sinner, Trickster, and Indian Horse. But we all know and love her as a hairstylist to the universe. Please join me in making some noise for Ashley Nay.
Who wants to set the tone, boys? Who's going to fucking set it? Yeah! Whoa! Let's get on the go, boys! This team will never lose again.
Welcome to the Produce Stand, Ashley.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome.
Where are you speaking to us from?
I live in Rutherglen. It's about 25 minutes east of North Bay, Northern Ontario, Northeastern Ontario.
Oh, okay, you're way up there then.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. Are you working right now, or what's going on? Like on a film or whatever?
No, I'm in prep right now for something.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you don't have to tell us if you're not allowed. So where are you originally from?
I was actually born in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
I was born in Windsor, Nova Scotia. Lived in Newport. I'm a military brat. So then I moved to Gander, Newfoundland after that. And then my dad got posted to North Bay. North Bay is the Canadian NORAD base.
Right.
So retired here. I stayed here ever since, or in the area anyways. Yeah.
So of all the places you lived, North Bay was like, oh, I got to stay here.
I mean, it's fine. Mm-hmm. I love it in the area.
Sure.
There's definitely I would actually love to go back to Nova Scotia.
Okay.
But yeah, it works. It's nice. I don't know if you guys have, I know you were in Sudbury and North Bay's a little bit further, but we have a pretty massive lake here. Like the waterfront's beautiful. It's just like a nice spot for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I've never been up that far. Victor, I think you have though, haven't you?
The Sioux is as far as I went.
Okay.
The Sioux's way further than me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the Sioux was incredible. Like seriously, when we went there, it was to go to the Agua Canyon. There's a train you can take to the Agua Canyon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is incredible. But when we were there, we realized the Sioux itself is just an incredible city, and we fell in love with it. And we're seriously talking about maybe retiring there. Like it's a beautiful.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because of all the trains. Burke Casabon lives up in that area, doesn't he? He's in.
Yes,
North
he
Bay.
lives in North Bay. Yeah.
Yeah, we had fun interviewing him. I don't know if you listened to that one, but do you see him around a lot, or is it?
Not really. We're I think I'm a generation ahead of him.
Sure.
But I actually went to when Dolo was coming through. He came through North Bay and Sudbury. So then there's this little bar restaurant called the Moose in North Bay. So we got to go watch Dolo, and he was part of the group that put that on, which was really fun.
Yeah, that was his release party back in June, right? For Going Gold. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
How was that? How amazing was that?
It was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. He actually came to my shop so I could give him sorry, it's my dog.
That's all right. The puppies.
So I give him a haircut before his show.
Why not? Well, he's like, you're the one who knows his hair the best, probably.
He literally sat down and he was like, the usual, it was perfect.
Well, you bring up the hairdressing or hairstyling. I mean, first of all, what do you want me to refer to? Like, is it insulting to say hairdresser or no?
It's not. Hairdresser's fine. Hairstylist is fine.
Yeah.
It's I think hairdresser was I could be super wrong on this, but I think barber was for men's cuts.
Right.
Hairdresser was for women's cuts and styling. And then hairstyling sort of incorporated everything together.
Sure.
But I could be talking completely out of turn about that.
So is this always something you like you wanted to do, or how did you get into it?
I was the kid who used to like cut the dog's hair and cut like all my Barbie's hair, like everything. If it had hair, it was coming off.
Right.
Cut my own hair and like actually didn't fuck it up when I was a kid. So like maybe that was some sort of like sign.
Mm.
And I always wanted to. So I went to hairstyling school or cosmetology school in 2005, I think.
Okay.
And it was funny on our first day. We were doing like a sort of like introduction to everyone and finding out what everyone wants to do and like what they want to get out of it and all of that. And the first thing I said was like, I really, really want to do hair for like film and television or like editorial or something fun like that, right? Not just salon work.
Right. So you knew right away that the like not only hairstylist, you want to be hairstylist to the stars.
Totally. Yeah. But living in Northern Ontario, I was like, that's never going to happen unless I move to Toronto. Right.
Yeah.
And then fast forward however many years, it was about, I think it was 2012. There was a show coming to North Bay and they needed assistants, like hairstyling assistants. It was one of the first tax, like NOHFC tax credit shows in the North. And they reached out to the school in North Bay to be like, hey, like, do you have anyone who wants to try this out or whatever? And the same teacher that I'd had remembered that I wanted to get into film and television. So she passed my name along to them, got me in. Yeah, it was awesome.
Perfect.
Absolute shit show of a production. It was awful. I found out halfway through I was actually volunteering for it. It wasn't a paid position.
Oh no.
The department also didn't know. So like she was pissed. She's also like, you can leave if you want. Like I totally understand.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like I really want to see this through. Like,
sure.
And now I know it's fine. Yeah. So she got me on the next show. She said she promised she would bring me on her next production so she could show me what a real show sort of ran like, and which was awesome. Her name was Renee Chan. She's in Toronto. She's a NABET hairstylist. And the show she brought me on was in Sudbury. And I remember getting a call sheet the night before the first day of filming, and it said Ryan Reynolds on the call sheet. And I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, this is impossible.
Right? Okay.
And Rosario Dawson. So second show ever.
So The Captive, it was called.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. When we were shooting it was called Queen of the Night.
Okay.
And then they changed it to The Captive. I can't remember if that was the working title or if it was just that they changed it.
Right.
But yeah, so like that was a bit of like an eye opener kind of for me, where I was just like, wow, like Sudbury's got, a big production going on.
Sure.
It was McGoyan. He directed it.
Oh, was it? Wow. I didn't. Yeah. Okay. I see that now. Yeah.
And then I met another hairstylist on that show, and it, turned into more work for me, and it literally snowballed from there. And I've been really like fortunately steady ever since.
Amazing.
I love it so much.
So, I mean, one of my questions was going to be, who's the most famous person you've done hair for? But would that be Ryan Reynolds, or can you think of somebody?
I was just like an assistant.
Okay.
I didn't actually do his hair.
Right.
I was just on a set with him.
Sure.
I mean,
like I'm looking at here, you worked on something called Banksters.
That was the first show I ever did.
That was the first one. Okay, so we won't. But Alan Thicke was on that show. I mean, he's a big fucking deal, especially up in Canada.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet him? Or?
Yes. Yeah. He was pretty fun. He was like just obnoxious, and I loved it. I love obnoxious people. So we got along great. But
yeah. Also, Laura Vandervoort was on that show as well.
Yeah, she was on that. She was also on, I worked with her again on V Wars.
Okay.
And I think there was something else maybe in between. She's lovely. She's such a sweetheart.
Oh, it's good to hear, because we enjoyed her on Smallville for sure.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. And I mean, so you can't think of like who the most famous person might be that you've had your hands in their hair and going, I can't believe. Well, first of all, do you get starstruck? Like when you walk into a trailer, you go, hey, I know that person. Do you ever get like,
I feel like I'm not as starstruck as like some people are. So
Sure.
I feel like that's sort of what makes me good at like just good in that kind in this industry is that like, yes, it's very cool that I get to work with these people but I'm not like, like a tabloid reader, celebrity lover type thing. Like I want to go there and make some cool shit with people and, go home at the end of the night.
Oh, I'm looking right now at Brooke Shields, Flower Shop Mystery.
I did part of that show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Brooke Shields, that's a pretty big fucking deal.
She was really sweet too.
Yeah.
She was the kind of woman who she didn't want to be like I think they originally had put her at like some like lake house somewhere in North Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And she made production put her in the same hotel as the crew because she wanted to be able to have a drink with them at the end of the night and like chill with them and like all that. She was pretty down to earth for sure. The first, I want to say like one of my first sort of starstruck moments was when I did a show called Anti-Birth.
Okay. I was about to get to that one too. Yeah.
Natasha Lyonne. And I saw that and I was just like she's just such a cool chick. She's super fun. She's very talented.
Yeah. We love her in that, what's that detective one? Poker Face. She's great in Poker Face.
Yeah. She was a lot of fun. That was a cool show. It was like a really interesting, basically she gets like impregnated by like aliens. She doesn't know how she got pregnant, and then it's just starting to grow inside of her, and then all these weird things start, like her teeth start falling out and like her nails start falling off, and she gets like just like she's getting really rough looking. And then at the end she ends up giving birth to it was actually, I think, the head of prosthetics in a suit. It's like a full-sized human came out of her and like, destroyed her, obviously.
Oh, wow.
That was a really fun, show to do.
It's bizarre. Yeah.
I like the weird shit for sure. I do I like fun. I like weird. Cardinal was a blast to work on. I got to do all 4 seasons of that.
We'll talk about Cardinal because that's a pretty big show up here, or was anyway. Who's in it and what was that one about?
So there's a local author to North Bay who wrote a book series of John Cardinal. And it was really cool when I heard first that season 1 was happening. I was just like, I read this book in high school. Like, this is really cool. Like, this is actually something that like, I've known about, and like, so that was interesting. Billy Campbell's like probably one of my favorite actors to work with. He was so much fun. He was just like super chill and down to earth. He used fucking Aveeno moisturizing lotion in his hair. Like, he was just like a weird dude.
Interesting.
He had a sailboat in Lunenburg. Like, just a really cool guy. Yeah, he has like a cucumber farm, I think, in Norway or something like that now. But I haven't talked to him in a while. But he, it was all about. So he's a cop, and he's like investigating like all these different like deaths and murders. We did 4 seasons of it, and each season had like a different sort of vibe to it. We started in season 1 was shot in the winter, and day 1 of filming was -42. It was awful.
Jeez.
Yeah, cold. So like, that's the one good thing about, I guess, I mean, it sucks that it was that cold, but like, you see it, like the cold turned into like a character almost, like the winter turned into like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The breath was real. The redness was real. Like, none of it was, added on, and they also didn't have to hide it, which is nice. Because there's nothing worse than shooting, a store or show in the cold, and the person's not allowed to look cold, right?
Yeah.
Or vice versa. You're shooting, and like, I feel so bad for like a lot of the Hallmark shows that film in like North Bay, because it's middle of summer and they're all wearing winter coats, wool coats, parkas, and sweating because it's the middle of the summer. So all the snow is fake. It's easier to control for continuity purposes. It's, but it's probably awful.
I see a little bit of a Letterkenny connection here right away on Cardinal. Dan Petronichevich was in 6 episodes. Yeah. Was that your first time kind of meeting him, or was Letterkenny already happening by then?
No, because Letterkenny was shooting while we were shooting Cardinal on like at least that season. Because because I was stoked because I got to give him the mullet, and then he had to live with the mullet for Letterkenny.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we
So
got a
that
lot.
was perfect. Yeah, like it worked out perfectly for that. But he said, because like when we were establishing his look, it was whatever you give me, I have to do on this show, and like they can't touch it. They can't, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, that'll screw my continuity up, and that's not nice. But yeah, it really worked for him.
So when you have a new show that you're starting, and when you're head stylist, I guess, how closely do you work with? Well, first of all, who do you work with? Is it the showrunner? Is it the director in terms of like getting the looks for the characters and stuff?
Yeah. So usually, like you sort of discuss like with the director, with some producers, the showrunner a lot of the times, or the writer if they're there on set,
right?
And sometimes the actors as well, to have input on like what the characters are going to look like. Sometimes the discussions happen and like you haven't even cast anybody yet, so we don't even know what they look like, but they just have like a vision in their head of what they want to see.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you know, like especially if we're doing it sort of remotely, or like they're in Toronto and I'm up here, it's very like, now since COVID, actually we've been doing a lot more on Zoom, but it used to be like just email and phone, to try and like, you know, you'd send photos and be like, this is sort of the vibe I'm getting. We'll get like lookbooks from directors. Sometimes I'll make a lookbook to send to them just to show what I'm sort of envisioning.
Right.
And they'll approve or deny or whatever.
So you get a lot of input then on that part of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Which is nice. I like that creativity for sure. And just being able to have like, sometimes it's nice to have a say. Sometimes it's nice to be told what to do. They're both, you know, both great, but the creativity is really where I like it for sure.
So that's your prep process then, right? The lookbook and choosing the styles. Do you ever have to change the style based on the actor's hair type? Like if they have naturally curly hair, or do you just like flip it and go to a wig, or when does that process? Depends
on the show. Some shows won't, they don't even care. They don't want a wig because they know it's going to cost money and take time. And that's a very specific kind of character thing where they want this, you know, they want this to look like this. Yeah, that's
So for men with facial hair, do they take care of that themselves, or is that also part of your jurisdiction?
Some men do take care of it themselves. Beards are actually the makeup department.
Oh,
weirdly enough. Yeah. So because it's facial grooming, I think, it's a weird one because like most hairstylists are more comfortable, with beards. We're trained. We have the resources to get the really good equipment and things like that. So like sometimes it's a little weird if, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but, I sometimes feel it's weird that it's a makeup artist job, but, all we can do is train them how to do beards, right? Like when I'm on a show, I usually talk to the head of department for makeup to decide like if you want to do the beards, it's totally cool. I'm very comfortable and I love doing beards. So like I will absolutely take that off your plate, but I need to know so that when I'm scheduling my time in the morning, I know that I'm taking care of their head and their face, if that's in that sense. Yeah, it's always
That's
another thing too, where like there's a show that I'm having after season 4 of Shoresy that we're shooting. The showrunner was talking to me actually about facial hair and just ways that he wanted it to change, because I'll be going in for season 2. I didn't do season 1. So whatever was done season 1, he just, I guess, wanted it to be slightly different from that. So we were talking about that, and I told him too that like, you know, it is technically the makeup artist's job, but again, I will always do it if they need me to.
These are union kind of distinctions.
Yes.
In terms of okay.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. You know.
Yeah.
Now in 2024, I don't know if this movie is out yet or not, but you worked on a show called My Old Ass, or a movie called My Old Ass, starring Aubrey Plaza. I mean, she's a big deal. How was that?
Yeah, she's. I'm assuming you've maybe seen Parks and Rec. That's literally her.
Oh,
like that's her in real life. Yeah. So she was a lot of fun. The whole show was a lot of fun. It was like I can't wait to see it. Actually, it's like this, this group of girls, these friends end up going on like this like mushroom trip, and then she meets like the older version of herself, who turns out to be this Aubrey Plaza. She was wigged in that movie actually too. We had to have a wig on her the whole time because we wanted it to look a little closer to the hair color and style that like the number one had, the younger version of herself.
Where was this shot? I guess this was in Sudbury or Toronto. Sorry,
Muskoka area.
Muskoka. Okay.
So it's like just south. But basically,
yeah.
So it was a production company that was going to shoot in the Toronto Union jurisdiction, and we ended up. My business agent kind of, like helped them bring it a little bit further north so they could be under our contract instead.
Okay. So there's a lot of territorialism happening there. Right?
Absolutely, there is. Yeah. So it was as south as you could humanly be in order to be considered a northern show, which was Parry Sound. Wow. Parry Sound is our borderline. Anything below Parry Sound is Toronto jurisdiction. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's crazy to see behind the scenes of all that kind of the mechanics of that.
Totally. Yeah. I actually sit on the board for the local in like the Sudbury, North Bay, Parry Sound, Sault Ste. Marie, and Ottawa. We cover that sort of jurisdiction. Yeah. So anything like north of Parry Sound north is us, as far as Sault Ste. Marie, and then as far as Ottawa.
That's a big area.
Big area.
Lots of productions. Yeah. Amazing. Well, we're going to get to, why people are listening today. But first, I just want to play a little clip here from somebody you might know.
As much as people do on film sets, we're there 5 days a week. The days are usually 12 hours long, sometimes 14, sometimes 16. It's impossible not to become close. Like you see each other in all stages of the day, jacked on coffee, crashing from caffeine, sleepy after lunch, bedtime sillies mid-afternoon. Can't wait to get the day done. The joy of rap after like a 14-hour day. You see all those things. You get to know each other very well. But this crew is so tight that, we often want to keep hanging out at the end of days. There's so many on this cast and crew, or on this crew rather, who have been with us since season 1. And I miss them when we're between seasons. I think about them a lot. I check in with them a lot. I really owe them all a great deal. Sorry if I'm a bit repetitive in that sentence particularly, but I owe them so much and I care about them so much. They are invaluable to me, and I work really hard to make sure that they know that on a day-to-day basis.
Now, who is that? I believe that's Jared. I saw you kind of smile when he's talking about how close this crew is. Is it true? Is it really that close?
Yeah. It's super true. It's like he literally hit the nail on the head with everything. Like, I love everybody on that set, every single person. Because it's also such a funny show. Like, there's like everyone's very serious about their jobs, but there's like definitely a wave of like the unserious, the sillies, like things like that. Like, we get to kind of goof off as much as possible. Everyone's still very, very much attuned to their jobs, obviously. But
sure.
It's honestly like it's a dream show for sure. The hours aren't as long as some shows I've done. The content is great. The cast is great. Everyone's so lovely. And the crew is just amazing. Like, we're literally, the one thing I love about film the most is that like you can spend, like, there are a lot of people in my like real life that I would never want to spend 12 hours a day with.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, there's something about the people you meet on set. We're all like a little bit of our own type of weird. No personality is identical. Like, everyone is so different. It's a little bit of like, we're like a little weird band of misfits. It's really awesome. But Shoresy for sure was very. Everyone's just so cool. Everyone's amazing. I absolutely miss them when I'm not working with them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's, before we get into kind of like what's it like on base camp, because we got the pleasure of visiting you guys one time and that was a lot of fun, but how did you get the Letterkenny gig? We'll start there.
So interestingly enough, so I was verbally hired to do Letterkenny season 1.
Okay.
And then when the man who was PMing it found out that even though I was Northern, I wasn't local, I lost that gig.
Oh.
So I did not do season 1 of Letterkenny. They basically, the union at the time was a different union. It was called NABET. It was a NABET show. They agreed to let Heather Manitwabi, she's been key makeup for all of the Letterkennys, all of the Shoresy's.
Mm-hmm.
She could run the hair department as long as she didn't do like cuts and colors. So I came in at the top of the show to do like cuts and the colors that we needed to do. There was a couple of extension pieces we had to color, and then came in halfway through to do like continuity haircuts for cast. But yeah, so it was a few years actually. Other than my dog got to be on Letterkenny again.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
And then I forget what season it was I did after that, like next.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was so much fun though. Like
Sure.
I felt like I never left type thing. And it just, the new head of department that they had gotten, it just like, because she would ask me like almost every single time if I would work it with her, but I was always busy on something else, and which was unfortunate. But yeah.
But once you got on that crew, you became part of the family.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then when Shoresy started up, it was a no-brainer to bring everyone back, all the crew.
Exactly. Yeah. Most of the crew, like from Letterkenny, just like got swept right over to Shoresy, because if it's not broke, don't fix it. Right.
Sure. Yeah. So let's talk about kind of the day-to-day. Cause like I said, we got to visit base camp for Shoresy, and Jared talks about, how much time you guys spend there. But when you're done, I mean, the actors come in the morning, get their hair done, and then go off to set. What do you do after that? Like once they're gone, what else do you do?
So it depends on how the schedule for the day works out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you end up processing basically all of the cast at the top of the day, and then everyone goes to base camp, and then we maintain them on set, make sure their hair stays the same.
Right. So you'll actually go to set and then be there in case there's a hair emergency. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. So like we have our set sort of kit that we'll pack up, bring to set. It's just like bags with like every actor will have their own like personal bag that has their own comb and hair product and like that kind of stuff in it. Mm-hmm. And then like after we've rehearsed a bunch and then are about to start shooting, we get to go in and do what's called finals, or like some people call it like final touches or last looks or whatever. That gives us a chance to go make sure that everyone still looks okay. They still have like their hair's in the right spot, or they still have lipstick on, or, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then so then we get to watch each take at the monitor so that we get to make sure everything's either sitting the same. That way we can watch to make sure if something looks weird from like a certain angle. Cause like if I'm standing in front of someone, their hair is going to look different than if I'm watching them on the little monitors. Mm. And then they let us go in partway. Like once we cut, we can go back in and fix anything, adjust anything that we have to. And so we're on set. There's always a hair rep and there's always a makeup rep on set at all times. If we have more batches of actors coming in, then like someone will be back at base camp, processing them, getting them through the works, and then someone will be on set, maintaining each actor that gets put to set.
Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about, Letterkenny. It ended season 12 this past December. Very sad for everyone. For you, it must have been kind of strange for the crew though, because knowing you were going on to Shoresy. What was that kind of those last few weeks of shooting Letterkenny like for you?
I was doing my old ass while they shot the last season of Letterkenny.
You weren't even on.
I wasn't even on that one either. Yeah.
Oh wow. Are you kind of happy? Are you kind of happy you weren't there?
Like it would have been really nice in a way to be part of like that last season, right? It would have been really cool. But at the same time, I feel like it almost would have made it sadder because to me, even though I knew it was coming to an end, I didn't get to experience like everybody's sadness around it. So like to me, it's just like I saw it. There'll be another one coming out next Christmas. You know what I mean? Like it's not as
you didn't get that closure.
Heartbreaking, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. We had Bradley Miller on, and we had fun asking him questions about base camp, right? Because it's such an interesting place to be. It's yeah. So we asked him stuff like, for example, out of the Letterkenny cast, whose trailer was the party trailer? Whose trailer did people gather around? What would you say?
On Shoresy?
Or both.
I mean, I don't really know for Letterkenny. I don't really remember I
don't remember his answer for that either, but
yeah, I remember being like there was always a lot of people outside, but I don't know if there was ever a single area, someone's trailer they sort of stuck to. I find for Shoresy, it's definitely more like Dolo's trailer is always wide open and people are coming and going and anyone can go walk on there basically if they
it's very
wanted
smoky
to.
in there, I bet.
A little bit, yeah. It's a really nice smelling base camp, I'll say that for sure.
And I think he said that Harlan's trailer might be the one with the loudest music.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's great. He's literally he's always blasting tunes out of his trailer. It's fun.
Very cool. Yeah, so let's move on to some listener questions because when we told people you were coming on, they all got really excited. So I've got a bunch of questions here. First question is from me, actually, because we did talk about this a little bit on IG. One of the three-legged puppers in Letterkenny was yours.
Yeah. So his name's Lego.
Mm-hmm. Of course it is.
And so his full name is Legolas.
Okay.
But,
oh my gosh.
So I got him from a rescue down in London, Ontario area.
Mm-hmm.
So he came with the name. I'm not changing that at all. There's no way. So I think it was season 2 or season 3. Season 2, I think.
Yeah, during the cookout, right? When the natives,
the native flew, and yeah. And to make him feel sorry for them, they brought out this three-legged dog, and then
that's your puppers.
That's mine. Yeah, the first one was mine. So he had a different name in the script because a friend of mine sent me the script, and she's like, "You have a three-legged dog. You need to get on this." And then so I forget the name he was supposed to have, but I'm if you call him Lego, he'll actually come to you. So they just kept the name Lego and used it in the show. And then the makeup artist the head department for makeup for that season got jealous because she also has a three-legged dog.
Oh, really?
And she had the second one. So the little Chihuahua, the little black wiener Chihuahua thing, Chiweenie, I think they call them.
Right.
That's Sassy. But yeah, Lego is
Oh, is he still around?
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. That's so cool.
He's a lot whiter in the face now. It's really crazy to see. Even if when I rewatch Letterkenny episodes, his face was black completely, and now he's just this little old man. But he's still he's fast. He can run up and down stairs. Nothing bothers him at all. He lost it really young. Mm-hmm. Before me, when I rescued him, he just had it removed. They figured he got hit by a car or something, which is really weird in the sense that as soon as I let him outside, he instantly wants to run to the fucking highway. He did not learn his lesson at all.
So it's not a makeup and a hair styling accidents experiments.
Oh no.
that's good since
I mean that would have been a good story though, to tie in. I always cut the dog's hair. Is that one time I slipped and
Oh, that's a hell of a slip, yeah. Amazing. He's got to be the most famous three-legged dog. So being on
there's bits on the internet about him. It's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Great.
Yeah.
Aaron from Chicago wants to know, which cast member would you trust to do your hair? This is a great question. I love it.
Oh boy.
From either show.
I don't know.
Well, we know one of them has actual on-camera experience.
This is true.
Dolo, yeah.
I feel Dolo can give it a pretty good go. I don't know about. Are we talking cutting or styling?
I don't know. You're the expert. You tell us.
Whatever scares you the most.
Yeah. Because her question is about who would you let near your hair?
Fuck. I don't even let a lot of hairstylists near my hair.
Oh wow.
It's tricky. Yeah, I've had some really bad haircuts. It's not I wish I could just pop. What show is that? Return to Oz, where you can just pop that off.
Right.
I could do that on my own hair. It'd be great. But I feel like Dolo would give it a pretty honest try, at least. Like, even if it didn't work out that well, I feel like his heart's in the right place and he would do a good job.
When he does Michael's head, he gives it a bit of a blow to get rid of all the hair off of that. That was so funny.
Favorite thing. I literally almost pissed my pants on set.
We're reviewing that episode tonight, by the way. But
were you
can't.
on set when that
I had to be. I was like, I'm gonna throw up. Like, if these guys fuck this up, like, I have to live with this for 5 weeks. Like,
well, and I was thinking to myself too, that's one take. So like, I know you get the giggles on set and takes can get ruined just by somebody breaking, right? Like, So was there like a lot of like, what's the word? Like psyching themselves up to not giggle during that? Because I gotta think it was so difficult. What's that?
We did a bunch of like dry runs.
Okay.
With like power. So like clippers were like, so they used my set of clippers for the first scene, the first haircut scene where it's just the strip, because they plugged in, because they knew if it wasn't plugged in, it wouldn't turn on. That was their only, they're like, we trust that.
Yeah.
And then I had you have like guard protectors. So like that was on it as well, just so they could get the motions in so that they knew how to hold the clippers. Sure. I had to sort of be there as their like consultant for, it was fun, but I was terrified.
Mm-hmm.
It was day one of season 3.
Interesting.
We get everyone processed. We go to set, and this is the first, basically the first thing up. And I don't think I've ever felt so nervous on set before. It was just, luckily Dolo's excellent and he's good at what he does, and he didn't do a bad job. I whisked everyone else back off to base camp so that we could sort of trim it down enough so that I was able to maintain it for those 5 weeks.
Right.
Because it's as much as it's just like a little swipe of hair, it has to be something that I can recreate usually every 3 to 5 days. I have to redo that strip on the show
to keep it fresh.
So are there a lot of photos that you have to take? Because how do you memorize how that was and what it needs to be look? Yeah.
Photos. All of my continuity photos, normally it's just front, back, and both sides, but I took them from the top, a 45-degree angle, so I could make sure where everything was lined up. Luckily, because most of them, the hair is all long enough that there's a big difference between the shaved portion and the non-shaved portion. So it's easy to follow kind of where it is. I used the same length every single time. So there was just a little tiny bit of something. So they weren't just bald babies, But it was wild.
Did any of them have trepidation, or they were all in?
So when it was just before prepping season 3. I cut Jared's hair in Sudbury, and we were just talking about it. Because I was I thought it was pretty cool that obviously he trusts me enough as a person to write in something so crazy hair-wise into the show. And he was saying how we were talking about who he wanted to ask. And when he told me about Michael's, and I was there's no fucking way that man's gonna shave his head. There's no
that pretty boy. There's no way that
hair, he's very put together, and but no, he was totally down. I think he got cold feet and then was okay with it again. But I want to say there was somebody else who he thought about asking, but then he said no. It might have been Fish. I don't remember. But
Dolo's hair is kind of hard to do that with him in the dreads,
absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I wouldn't even if it was me, I wouldn't even ask, because dreads it's such a long process.
Yeah.
The length of hair he has is literally probably 3 times that. You know what I mean?
But I did notice that his sides and back were kind of more shaved, and there was more coming off the top, right?
Yeah, he has basically an undercut. So his dreads are only about, I want to say 4 across.
Yeah. And
then everything else is underneath is all shaved.
Right. Interesting. So actually this kind of jives with the question from Jez from Perth, who asks, which of the sluts is the fussiest about his hair? Sounds like it's McDonald there, Ryan McDonald.
Less this season, more in previous seasons though, for sure.
Okay.
And like, he's not, I wouldn't call him like a diva or anything like that. I love him so much. He's so much fun.
Sure.
He's very particular about how he likes it to look and like the product he uses, which is great. I love that. It also gave me, where all the dudes in the show are like pretty natural, you know, they don't require like a whole lot of anything. It gave me like a little bit of something to sort of construct. Yeah, I was really, really surprised when he agreed to shave that part of his head. And then when we shaved their heads fully at the end of the season,
right? Yeah.
He has a really good shaped head. He had the perfect shaped head for Buzz. It was awesome.
Well, lucky for him, because you don't know. You don't know until exactly. Jez also asked, are any of them are there any of them who want to go the extra mile, like, you know, to get something done? Like, we're like giving you carte blanche, do whatever you want, do something crazy if you want, you know.
I mean, for season 3, that was almost Ryan. Like, he sort of wanted, like, where we were doing the shaving strip, sort of like this section here, he wanted to do the whole thing. Like, literally, I had just like 2 parts of hair type thing.
Yeah.
They squashed that really fast because they wanted it just to look like it was just the top. But he was like, I feel like he may have been like nervous about doing it in the beginning, but then once he was like getting into it, he was really, really getting into it. Like, we had probably like an hour conversation while he was driving to Sudbury, just about how crazy he would look if he had like, you know, like the guy from The Prodigy, where you had like
the reverse mohawk. I mean, I kind of refer to these as reverse mohawks, even though they're not. But I mean, yeah,
he was like full gung ho to go to that length for it. And that was one thing that Jared said when we were shaving, like when I was cleaning him up afterwards, like after, because then again, obviously after we did the full head shave, we just take them back to the trailer and like clean everything up so they look good and it doesn't look weird and all that. And he was just so humbled by the fact that these guys were willing. He's like, no one's fucking done this. Like, no one just shaves their heads on camera for me. He's like, this is, you know, he was so blown away at the fact that like they were willing to get these stupid haircuts, wear them for 5 weeks, and then completely shave their heads afterwards. Like, he was really, really touched by that, for sure.
So how did that storyline come to be? Was that something that Jared birthed from his own imagination, or did you have input into, okay, here's what we're going to do? That was him.
Yeah. Oh my God, I wish I could take credit for that, but I can't. It was me reading the scripts and like getting into it, and I'm just like, what's happening? And I was like reading more and more and more, and getting like more and more like excited, but also nervous, because I was like, this is a lot for like, this is a big look for a show like this, because everything's obviously so like pretty standard and like pretty natural for the most part. Like the most extreme haircut we've done so far is like, other than the mullets, like maybe Hitch's, you know, his little lines on the side of his head.
Yeah. Well, speaking of mullets, Casey from North Carolina asked, whose idea was it for the mullets in the shows? Was it a Jared thing?
Yeah, that's a hockey thing, right? Like,
I guess.
Yeah.
I hate that they came back. I really do.
I love a good mullet as long as it's done right, and it's not a redneck mullet. Like, it has to have like a little bit of edge to it, and I feel like the boys on this show had like enough edge to their mullets that like it just looked good. It worked.
So what makes a good mullet? Does it, I mean,
Yarmer Yager makes a good mullet.
It's the sides, right? Like it's how the side,
To me personally, like, you can have like, say like, like a kind of longish whatever hair, and you just shave that and it's completely disconnected. It's just really short and then longer in the back, but like a little bit, you know, longer than the side and top. I like those kind of mullets. I don't like the ones that are like nicely blended, like you're trying to look like Billy Ray Cyrus mullet.
Okay.
Like,
so you prefer like Joe Dirt over Billy Ray Cyrus?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
I love it. Tobias from Missouri asked who had the best hair, but I think we answered that. But who's the most transformed in the makeup chair? He also asks.
I mean,
I really think, because meeting Harlan in person, he's got beautiful hair.
he does have beautiful hair.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to do a whole lot to him. He basically gets if he's not in a suit, his hair's down.
Yeah.
If he's in a suit, his hair's in braids. He gets a little bit of dry shampoo and some smoothing cream just for, to feel nice. And that's about it, even like with braids or without braids. I feel like this season, especially the most transformed, like Kalani, that's not her real hair. That was literally like a fake. Yeah.
Really?
So like, just to kind of give her a little oomph into her look, we decided to go with this. It's literally just like you put her hair in a bun and you pop this ponytail on top of it, and the whole thing is synthetic hair, just like drawstrings shut.
Interesting.
Just to give her something like a little bit more. And same with Nat Tassia, just to keep it easy, just because like ponytails, like it's as much as it's a ponytail and ponytails are simple and all of that. If I can pop that ponytail off at the end of the night and like it's not getting damaged or like slept on or like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
It just makes my job a lot easier. So you can just pop the ponytail on in the morning, cuts their process in half.
It's like you're reading my script. Am I sharing my screen or something? Because my next question was from Cassie in Simcoe. She says, we've been told the Indigenous actors and actresses had a lot of input to their looks. For Meeg's looks, where did the inspiration come from? Her cute, unique hairstyles. I adore every single hairstyle she's ever worn on the show. Thank you. That's from Cassie. So you just said Meeg's hair was a wig.
Yeah.
Or an extension. Or was
extension. Yeah, like a piece. Yeah. A hair piece. Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of that, like especially with like there's certain discussions that like when I'm discussing hairstyles for cast that I'll have like obviously with production and all that. The idea for like even her ponytail was just sort of, she wanted something a little fuller. I had two options and it didn't stray too far from like what we'd already established her look as like in previous seasons, because you don't want to jump too far obviously, or it can get kind of weird. So we just said like, hey, like what do you want to do? And she wanted to do like a bigger, more voluminous ponytail, and then did her edges, because she has these little baby hairs that always, like season 1, they were just always sticking up. We could not get them down.
Oh, really?
So we went with them and we just incorporated them into the hairstyle and made it work for us, gave her a cute new look. And I find especially where some of the costumes are so like elaborate and like really fun. I try to like before I try a new hairstyle and then for a different look, I always want to know what the costume's going to be so that I can either work with it, or if there's something that like for Zieg, whenever she was wearing like super fun big earrings, we always had her hair pulled back because she wanted to show it off and be able to see it. Otherwise it just gets lost. And also she has curly hair too. So like when you get your curly hair stuck in anything, like it's a nightmare. You can't just pull it out and rebrush it. It goes insane. So like the more we can keep her hair out of her accessories, the better for sure.
Very cool. Dennis from the UK asks, who's the worst for continuity? Oh, we're thinking about this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this hard. I mean, Goody's a toucher. Andrew, he's like,
he likes to run
hair, which is fine. Like, I'm not going to get mad at him for, like, I do it all the time. I can't, like, I don't stop touching my hair.
Right. What was that? It was a Letterkenny episode where they're talking about Gordon Ramsay being a hair guy. So that's Goody. Goody just likes, running his fingers through his hair.
Yeah, he just touches it. You always see him touching his hair, and like, like I'm sure a lot of it is like a subconscious thing. So like, my biggest thing on set is even when we're not shooting is I'm watching those boys in case they do anything crazy while they're,
Related question, Trolley from UK. Did you ever have to admonish one of the cast for getting a haircut that messed up your planned look for the character?
No, I don't think so. No.
Everyone's been pretty good about that.
Yeah. I've definitely seen that on other shows before though, where like you have someone's headshot or like a photo of them and like their hair is say like long or just like amazing. and then they come in and it's short and you're like everything out the window, you know.
Or they were once a blonde and now they come to set and they're a redhead or something.
Completely different color. Yeah. Which is why it's always so important. Like in our prep process is like I reach out to cast to get selfies, like current selfies. Don't send me your headshot. I don't want it. I want your current selfie, what you're using in your hair, like things like that, just so that I know what I'm getting myself into. And then that way, if I need to, like, say you want extensions for the show, I now know what your actual hair color is, not just based on a headshot or doubling if you have to double a person.
Casey from Virginia asked, tell me about the worst hair you ever had to fix or rescue. Doesn't have to be from Letterkenny or Shoresy. You know, I love a good salon tail. That's Casey. She's Letterkenny Answers. If you're wondering who she is. Yes.
I mean, I've definitely had to fix a lot in the salon environment.
Okay.
I used to work with a girl who, like, I don't even know. I shouldn't even say this, but she was so awful. And like unapologetically, like so confident in it.
Sure.
Anyways, I gained a lot of clients out of this girl because she was just, you know, I don't know if she just didn't understand how to do certain things. Like color theory is very different as a hairstylist. It's not just like blue and yellow make green. It's like blue and yellow make green, yes, but like there's also other colors hidden inside the hair and like things like that. And one day she completely lightened somebody out and then put black on top of them. And I'm like, I don't even like, you guys aren't hairstylists and I can see your faces. Like you're unhurt. Like, why would you strip out everybody's, like, so all of someone's color just to put the absolute darkest thing on? And then she put like one weird piece of red, which just looked like tomato soup because it was so overprocessed. It was like flat and like awful. So I gained that client, which was nice. And then same lady like turned a blonde girl green because, you know, like that's a mistake that a lot of people make, usually not hairstylists, but it is really easy to turn someone's hair green if you don't know what you're doing. So I was able to like fix her and save the day, I guess. But trying to think of like set wise. I can't remember who it was or what show it was, but there was definitely someone that I had in my chair who used to cut their own hair and did not do a good job at it.
How could you? I don't understand how people can cut their own hair. I mean, unless you have a head like mine where you're just shaving.
You cut your own hair.
Well, I just shave it. Yeah.
That's what salad bowls are for.
Yeah. You shave until you feel wood and then you stop.
You feel nothing. Yeah, exactly. If you feel hair, then you still got more to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. If it comes up, bring it up. But Joey from Colorado, he said, because he was one of our friends who came up with us that one time, he says, your trailer is top notch, clean and organized. What in your life got you to be so meticulous?
I'm a details person. So like every little detail I just pay. And I think that's also what makes me, in my opinion anyways, good at this job and just hair in general is just the details. Like I'm very meticulous and like a little bit of a perfectionist. It probably comes from the ADHD, but it's just a space like a trailer. Like there's nothing worse than like, that's the first place that your actors go in the morning. Right. So like it should be filled with coffee and good vibes. And it should be clean. It shouldn't be like obviously clutter is one thing, but you should never have a gross trailer. That's literally where like I do all of my sanitation is in that trailer too. So like the whole space has to be clean. Same with the makeup side. Yeah. When we're doing our cleaning and things in there, like we can't clean in a dirty space. So it's the cleaner everything is, the better we can do our jobs. And if I ever have to send like Brad to be like, hey, Brad, I forgot this in the trailer. Can you send it over in a shuttle? He knows he can go in. It's in this drawer. I usually label my drawers and cupboards as well to what's in them.
Oh, we saw your setup. It was very impressive. It was very, very
Open
impressive.
Them all up. Yeah, you literally can just look at it. You know exactly what you're going for. And then he puts it on a shuttle and sends it to set and we don't waste any time at all.
you're setting the tone.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And speaking of setting the tone, Victor, stop reading my script. Adrian from Maine wants to know, what are your go-to bands or albums or songs to set the fucking tone for the day? Like when the actors come into your trailer, what are you playing?
So a lot of season 2, I actually played the soundtrack from season 1 of Shoresy, which was a lot of fun.
Okay.
I listen to like a lot of rock or like metal. So like I don't play like a lot of my music in the trailer just because like I feel like it's not as much of a shared genre.
Sure.
Try to play something as trailer friendly as possible that's going to appeal to the most amount of people during the day. So I literally will make, sometimes before a show, a trailer playlist.
Okay.
And it usually has like a little bit of like nothing too heavy, but nothing too weak either. A little bit of hip hop, you know, like something that's going to kind of pump people up. I always have a speaker on my station. Sometimes we'll just throw on a random Spotify. I like to let the actors choose as well. Like if they're feeling something that's going to kind of get them in their zone, they can connect to my speaker and play whatever they want, you know?
Very cool. Final listener question. Again, Joey from Colorado. He wants to know, what are your favorite spots to get food or drinks or hang out in Sudbury?
Love Chico's Tacos. It's a vegan taco shop and it's amazing. Like even if you're like only eat meat, I feel like you love that place. It's so good. They have
all right, challenge accepted.
I did have that on our list and I thought you will get mad at me for the vegan.
No, it's amazing. So good. They have my favorite's the fish taco. It's like PHISH. And it's like breaded deep fried avocado chunks as the fish in the taco with the sauce and like the cabbage and like so good. What else? Always Townhouse. Townhouse makes good burgers, bottom line, you know.
Notice the big shift to Townhouse this season in terms of setting. Like a lot of the partying was, you know, that was being done at the Colson, I guess. The first couple of seasons moved over to Townhouse. Was that because of the fire or Yeah, it
was like we had to like kind of pivot from that location until, because I don't think they got set back up again until fairly recently at the Colson. But yeah, everything just switched to the Townhouse instead.
Yeah, I noticed that for sure.
Which I love the Townhouse, but it's like a weird shaped building, so it's hard to shoot in for sure.
It is an awkwardly shaped building. Yeah, it's not like a big box like Colson was, right? It's
exactly.
Yeah, but they do have a great stage there. Like I'd love my band to play there one day because they've got the perfect stage. Yeah. Very cool. Victor, do you have any questions before we wrap this up?
Yeah. Why don't you share a little, you know, you kind of manifested your career. Good on you. But what are some of the other hobbies that you have that you kind of want to talk about so folks can learn a little more about you?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I love my dogs. I love plants. I'm a bit of a gardener, more so inside than outside, but I do love growing things. I don't get to travel as much as I would like to, but that's a hobby that I would love to have. Just with the kind of work we do, you know, there's certain things that we don't necessarily get around to as much. But when I'm not on set, I spend a lot of time. I have a shop that I work in North Bay. So I rent a suite in a tattoo shop. So in between shows and then sometimes on weekends during the shows, like I do work in there a lot. I know it's weird that you never know what you even like when someone asks you what you like.
And let me help you with that too. So you mentioned with the kind of setting tone with the music. So and you're into kind of more of the heavier metal. What kind of music are you into? And is it kind of more modern music or is it going back to the retro days?
I love everything. I grew up like I was a goth kid growing up, so I listened to like a lot of like the heavy, like gross metal, like just, you know, screamy shit.
You and Bradley probably have a lot in common in terms of
100%. Yeah. We can totally bond over music for sure.
Yeah. Because he did that doc on the punk scene in was it in North Bay or
Sarnia?
The Sarnia punk scene, yeah. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
I wish you did it closer to like here. I would totally like go and rock that with them. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, as I've gotten older, I've gotten like a little more mellow in like my taste. Also, just because like if I'm with people, I'm not just gonna blast something that's like so obnoxious that it like makes people uncomfortable.
Sure.
But I love like I'm really into like stoner rock and like just rock in general. Anything that has a bit of like I don't like super clean sounding music. Actually, one of my favorite bands, which is pretty mainstream, like it's mainstream, that I just like can't get enough of. I can listen to them all day, every day, is Queens of the Stone Age.
Sure.
And like every single band that man does.
Yeah.
Like I love all of it. It's just like such a good sound.
Yeah.
Lyrically, I think it's a lot of fun. It's really amazing. But
they're professionally produced. I mean, you could argue they're kind of clean, right? But
comparatively, one of my favorite Canadian bands actually is Death from Above 1979.
Yeah. So you and Jared have that in common.
Yeah, it was actually really cool when like I was reading the script, because in the scripts it outlines each song that's going to play, and I was like, really? Like this. Like I thought this was like just some band that like no one really knew about. So like having that in the soundtrack was really, really cool. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just because it's so like unconventional for,
Sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Tan, do you have any questions?
I do. So I wanted to ask, like in your profession, do you ever find yourself focusing so much on the hair and continuity and not enjoying watching like the movie or the TV show that you're yeah.
Yeah. I even not even just hair, like hair I will obviously notice. I'm instantly drawn to it. And not even just like continuity wise, but just like choices. Like when I see like I question people's choices when they've chosen a specific, this sounds so awful, when they've chosen a specific hairstyle for something that like could have been something else. It could have been a lot cooler or like a little bit more bolder, but I also don't want to judge because like sometimes you're not given any time on set to do anything. Even when I see continuity errors, I used to think like, even before I was working in film, I used to think, I'm sure like that person's like, they're just not, they don't care or whatever. And then it turned into like, now that I'm on set and I realize how many times I need to go in for finals, not on Shoresy. They're great. But other shows where they just tell you like, they look fine, don't worry about it, get out of there. And they just want to shoot, or they'll shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot. And they don't stop. They never cut. So you never get to go in and fix something that's happened on camera. So now when I see like continuity errors in TV shows or movies that I watch,
you give them a little more grace.
Oh, it's just the director. The director's being an asshole, But even down to like the amount of film gear that I can pick out in any scene now that I'm like, that's not supposed to be there. Like that's a grip head. That's an apple box. Like, just weird things like that. Costumes, props, just because my job, other than styling hair, is focusing on that little TV screen and trying to pick out what's different from this take from the last take. So you end up seeing all of it.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to focus sometimes on the story for sure. Like I get lost and like I'll watch a whole movie and not even know what the person's name was because I'm too busy looking at other things.
Does that mean you can't watch with friends or family? Like they are sick of watching something with you? Because
I don't bring it up usually. You don't. Yeah, I'm one of those people that's just like pointing everything out unless the crazy like continuity mistake or weird thing.
And then you got to pause it. And
unless
say,
it's a Starbucks cup in the middle of a Game of Thrones scene.
I've actually turned to a thing on set where anyone's like, like they're looking over the set to make sure there's nothing in there, or we're going to start doing a shot over here that's wider, and they want all hands on deck to make sure everything's moved and cleared out of the way. And we're kind of rushing, as it's always turned into the like leave no Starbucks cups on set, and it's doesn't mean anything about Starbucks cups. It just means like don't hide, don't leave trash there because that's going to turn into the next Starbucks set.
Yeah,
Starbucks.
It'll be all over the internet and stuff for sure. I'll ask the question that our buddy Matt would normally ask, his boilerplate question. What's it meant to you to be part of these two shows, Letterkenny and Shoresy? I mean, they're cult favorites, there's going to be Comic Cons and stuff from here to eternity featuring, you know, Letterkenny characters and casts and stuff. What has it meant to you to be part of this?
I honestly feel like I feel super fortunate. And like sometimes like when you make a production, like you understand what it is. I understand how big Letterkenny and Shoresy is. But like at the same time, sometimes you just feel like you're almost like not worthy of working on something that's so like worldwide loved, because like, especially in Northern Ontario, we're used to like, except for those few staples like Letterkenny and Shoresy and like a few other things, a lot of it is like, no, like it's not reaching very far.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not actually getting the exposure that even sometimes they deserve. Like some of the things that we do up here are really, really cool. And we thank the tax credits for that, for allowing these shows to be made without bankrupting people. And, you know, it's stimulating our economy. It's getting us work all the time. So fingers crossed it never runs out. But yeah, I feel really, like, I feel super honored to be part of it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because like, once your contract is done, like that's it.
Yeah.
When the next one, like the next season of Shoresy comes along, like they don't have to hire you back. You know what I mean? There's nothing that says that they have to hire me back as a person or as a hairstylist. So like each time you get that call, it's like I still get butterflies every single time, because I'm like, yes, like I get to do it again. I get to hang out with my friends and I get to like hang out with Jared and like just do fun shit, you know? Like
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's fun for sure. It feels nice being part of someone's extended family in that way. Like again, like saying how like before where we're sort of all this weird, like this weird band of like misfits, is that it's like everyone on set, especially crew a lot of the time, and even some of the actors, like there's been at least a point in your life where you really felt like you did not belong. And when you come together on a film set, like none of that matters. Everyone belongs, everyone's friends, like even people that you never would have been friends with 20 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever, you know, like you really do develop that strong bond. I think it's because we're all a little bit insane. So we just all completely stick together. And
amazing.
Yeah.
Are there any projects or anything that you're working on or future projects coming out that you'd like to shed light on, or can you?
So after, towards the end of this year, I get to go out to Nova Scotia to go work on a show. I'm really excited. I actually just did the like second portion, I guess, of my interview today, and I got it. So
congratulations. You get to go home. That's great.
I'm home for a bit. Yeah, it's only 2 months. Well, it's six weeks in Dartmouth, and then they do a couple of weeks in Hamilton and back in Ontario. So I'm really excited just to get back there, and like it'll be colder this time than like the last time I was in Nova Scotia, but it'll be nice to be near the ocean again. I remember the first time I went back to Nova Scotia after years of not being there, like I literally just started bawling when I saw the ocean. Just ugly girl crying. Like I'm obsessed with it. So like I said, I would eventually maybe like to move back there. So like every time I do go there, it's like harder and harder to come back to Ontario. But you know, it is what it is. We'll see.
Where would you like people to follow you online? If you do, you may not want to, I don't know. I'm making a big assumption, I guess.
Anyone's welcome to. I have 2 accounts. They're both wide open because they're business accounts. So you can't even close them off.
Right.
My personal account is at the Nayflower, N-A-Y, as in my last name. And if you don't want to follow inappropriate things, because I do post a lot of inappropriate things on my Instagram, you can follow my hair page, which is everything hair related, whether it's in my shop or on set. I post any reels and like trailers and shit to that one, and it's at napalm.inc. INC.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Ashley, for all the time you've given us today, and it was great. You loved all the stories you had to share.
Great.
All right. Oh, sorry. Go on.
I'm just glad I wasn't too awkward for you.
No,
guys.
Not awkward at all. No, it was great. And our listeners are going to love all the questions, the answers you gave. I'm going to play us off here now with Tanya's favorite song, Your Man by Joji. That's all we have. If you'd like to support the podcast, please become a patron or tell a friend. Also follow us on most social media outlets at ProtestanPod. Thank you for joining us. Now we're going to go hang out, maybe get a haircut with our new friend Ashley. On behalf of Ashley, Tanya, Matt, or not Matt, he's not here, but Victor and myself, thank you for listening and have a great week.
So, baby, I'll be